Good morning, good rising, blessed full moon, and welcome to Presence of Light with Bergeron. And it's a joy to be here every Friday morning and gather thoughts that come through as I arise and share them with the world. And they have an importance to all of us as we move forward in our evolutionary process as humans and spirit beings. And so this morning, the talk is really about new creation. And the message, actually, the first message came yesterday with the full moon. I almost came on and did just a brief talk yesterday morning, but the day got busy and wonderfully busy. And so, it's been saved for this morning. Good morning to Wayne. Howdy from Calgary. How wonderful. Pleasure to have you with us. So people are arriving, and I thank you, each one of you, for taking this time out of your day. And for those of you who will listen to this later, remember that it doesn't matter when we listen to messages. It's that we feel the message, that we interpret the message for our own uniqueness, that these are messages that come through and things that I'm guided to search for, etc. And they're not just mine, they're for all of us. They're part of the whole experience of humanity. Morning, Gary. Good morning, Anita. Joni, how are you? So, yes, we've gone through this amazing, and we're still in the process of this amazing full moon. And all full moons shift our energy. And that's part of the intention of the galactic expression, if you will, is that whether it's in our solar system or outside of our solar system, all of those changes create energy fields that over thousands of years people have witnessed and understood and interpreted as to how to rule and guide their lives. So there are many teachings, and there is no one teaching that's, say, better than another. It's just whether those teachings resonate with you individually. So I try not to dismiss any teachings. I look at it as they all have something to say to us. Maybe not in this moment. Maybe I wouldn't understand what's being said in this moment. And then maybe 10 years later, I'll say, that's what that meant. This is what we're going through. This is what I call creation. That we're all creating and co-creating both uniquely and individually and collectively. So that's not both, that's three things. Okay. So this is where we are. We're in this place of change, of great change around the world, partially because of this virus that we're under, partially because we're in this struggle of power of nations for control, partly because we're being fed streams of fear to our consciousness, and that's creating distortion in our thinking patterns. So with all of that said, I'm sorry you're having trouble playing the video. It is on Facebook Live and on Humanity Healing, and I unfortunately don't have any control over that. So bear with it, and hopefully if you can't get it today, you can get it when it's in the replays. But we love having you here Jack, and everyone else. So the card I pulled yesterday morning was really from the Kuan Yin Oracle deck. And it was a card that's called, I don't know if you can see this, here, the Yellow Tiger Mother. And it was, for me, such a clear reference to the moon energy. And that message is about, and I will quote it, sometimes we must be strong and hold true whilst all around us seems to be shifting and changing. And I know each of us are going through that. No matter where we are in the world, things are shifting and changing. And at a pace that is really sometimes faster than our minds can catch up with or can follow. And part of that is because our minds are really connected to the past. And they're so deeply connected to the past that in order to respond in the present, we have to be able to be detached from all of that past. And many of you are experiencing the past coming up because at the same time we're moving fastly forward, we're in this almost place of being held, the word being held captive to what's playing out in the moment. And that's actually a part of the process of us being able to get rid of some of all of this baggage, I'll call it, that is holding us and keeping us anchored in this present struggle. And we need to get rid of that in order to set ourselves free to move forward, to be part of that new creation. And the new creation is really us creating. We're co-creating with the universe, with what we consider divine creation. And all of this is just really bringing us to a place of stressfulness for many. And for those of us who can release it, we can actually see the glory and the light in the positive aspects of it. So I continually encourage people to look for the positive points in and amongst all of the, for lack of better words, debris that we're moving through. But that card really brought me to look at the powerful moon and the light that it represents in the darkness, and the hope that light brings to us, and that it's about releasing stress and frustration at any level that it appears, knowing that in order to be creative, if you look at any creative process in humanity, whether it's engineering or it's artwork or it's songwriting or writing at any level, we have to tune ourselves out of what we would call the everyday business. And where do we go when we do that? When we come into that creative space of our mind, we're no longer worrying about the rent payment, or we're not worrying about who's on the podium speaking, or we're not worried about the fire in Africa, because we have to be able to, I don't like the word separate, but we have to detach. We have to detach ourselves from those energies. It doesn't mean that they're not happening. They're very much happening. But what we're doing is we're finding a place within ourselves that is connected differently to everything around us and everything beyond us. And that's what we need in order to create, to come into that place of creation, which isn't driven by the mind, it's driven really by our heart's desire to truly express ourselves as creators. If you look at the teachings throughout history, we are created in the image of our Creator. Well, what are we? We're creators. And what we've done over time we have listened to other people around us tell us that you're not creative, or you can't do this, or this is not possible. And we've become so trusting of that mantra, if you will, that we actually have come to believe in hopelessness. We've come to believe that destruction has more power over creation. We've come to believe a lot of things that are not or do not have to be in our pattern of living. And many of those were not ever intended to be a part of our living process. So the card, I will read the card to you. The heading of this is, sometimes we must be strong and hold true, whilst all around us seems to be shifting and changing. The yellow tiger mother, Kuan Yin, in her guardian role, is roaring her divine sound within you. She asks you to hear her, to remember that you are a powerful being of light, and that even whilst you are in flow with universal forces, your strong roots help you to be at peace with your truth, standing your ground whilst your light shines true. And she goes on to speak in this about a surrender. And we don't necessarily like the word surrender. But surrender is really just becoming still. It's giving up the chatter. It's giving up the excessive energy and just coming to a place of stillness. It's not what we've been taught and learned that we go to war, you surrender, you've been defeated. And that's what's planted in our mind right now, is that when we surrender, it's a sign of defeat. And actually, surrender is the greatest energy that we can exert in any situation. Because in that moment of surrender, or I will call it letting go of the struggle, letting go of the holding on, letting go. I'm seeing this. I'm on water skiing, and I don't really water ski. I'm seeing myself water skiing, holding onto that tow rope, and going crazy in fear and bouncing around. And then all of a sudden, the message: let go. Let it go, Charlie. This is what we're doing. We're being told by energies that are not in our best interest. They're not in our best interest as humans. They're not in our best interest as just living beings on planet Earth. It's not beneficial to planet Earth. It's not beneficial to the universe. But we can't let go of that tow rope. So today, the yellow tiger mother is really asking us to listen to that power of the full moon, which says, You can't control the energies of the full moon. Surrender to them. Allow them to gift you with the messages that they bring. And as we go through this full moon, I encourage all of us to surrender and listen internally, and listen and know that when we listen internally, we are being guided to stand in our presence of light, which is powerful. It's powerful beyond our understanding. And in that moment, we're being guided to listen more deeply within ourselves to the voice of our hearts. Our hearts speak. Our hearts generate an energy field. And this is what's going to be the energy in which we create the new creation. So absolutely surrender to no space, no time. Wonderful, Samantha. Thank you. Again, each one of you are, I know each one of you are understanding what I'm saying. I'm not really here to teach you something that you don't know at some level of your beingness. My only sense of purpose here is to remind you, is to re-trigger that energy within you to arise so that you make the choices. I'm not here to make the choices for you, nor are we here to make the choices for anyone else. And when we come to that point of sovereignty, where we realize that I am responsible for all my actions, and I will stand with that, and whether they be good ones or negative ones, I have to own the responsibility of those, because I am a creator being. And this is my sovereignty, to create. And if I create an error, I also have the ability to correct that, or to transform that, or to heal that, because we're all healers. You know, when I first came back from death, I didn't understand a lot of what was going on within me. And I said, well, I need to put some names to this. And so I found a beautiful soul not too far away where I learned Reiki. And it was amazing, because then I understood the power and energy that was flowing through me. That it wasn't me that was the issue. It was I was tapping into something greater that I had missed. I had missed my whole life of 50-something years, or whatever age I was. I had missed this. And that's what's happening now. Many of us are awakening, doesn't matter what age we are, to something, and we feel there's something missing. And I love to share that the part that we're missing is us. We've forgotten. We've been so fascinated with what's outside of us that unconsciously, not knowingly, not willfully, we have drifted away. We have drifted away from the heart resonance. And this is the power that flows through the universe. It's how we are to reconnect. And so we struggle. How can I reconnect to this person who has hurt me? Or how can I reconnect to these people who are just out of control? Or how can I reconnect? I don't want to reconnect to them because they're horrible beings, and we judge them. And in that moment of judgment, what we're really doing is denying ourselves our power. And that's the talk is really the power isn't coming from around us. The power isn't something that somebody grants you the right to have it. The moment you were born, you were granted the right to create. What do you want to create from your heart, not from your head? It's the head, it's the thinking, it's that whole process that's wonderful. It's amazing. We wouldn't be sitting here with this technology, speaking to each other today, without that. But there's a dear price we've paid for that, and that's we've lost connection to the heart resonance that was there before we thought about this or that, what's outside of us. So today's call, the new creation, is really about creating ourselves. We're being guided to listen internally. We're being guided to stand in our power of our presence of light. We're being guided to listen to the voice of our hearts. To be both strong and flexible and move through every situation and not take on the wounds anymore. To know that, sure, there will be pain, there will be struggle, but we're more powerful than pain and struggle. We're sitting here having this conversation. You are the most powerful beings on this planet. And I want you to feel that power. I want you to tap into that power, the power of who you are and the power that the yellow tiger mother is offering through her presence of light to us, to arise within us. So the other card that I pulled this morning was this beautiful card here. I think you can see that. Let me get my show notes out of the way. There we go. And this is called creative power. That's the message of this beautiful, these star clusters as a galaxy. Doesn't give me, it says constellation. It's in the direction of Ursa Major. And that beautiful spiraling galaxy, I love those cards because they sort of give me a picture of myself. I look at those, I look at the stars, and many times, what do I see reflecting back at me is myself. And I want you to look at the stars, and I want you to see everything and see yourself in it, see the power, see the light. Most of the time, when we look at others, we see, what we've been trained to see is the negative. And the negative is really keeps us trapped in this circle, this repeating all of our damaged goods. We just keep going and going and going. We don't stop. So take a moment to stop. And God is here now, ever present. Yeah. In here, in your heart. This is where the presence is, right here. You are that presence. Honesty and heart coherence is what has been coming through this morning. Thank you, Kyle, because this is the message that's coming through for me, and you confirm that I'm not alone, that this is not just a figment of my imagination. This is what's really calling all of us now in this time of turmoil, in this time of, Gary says, use the lockdown to find yourself. Yes, because we are with ourselves now far more on a greater time scale than we have ever been. So all of this stuff is coming up for us. And a lot of it's not pleasant. But you need to know that it's necessary. It's necessary for us to make that shift and change and be the creators and be the source of creation. We've been trained that somebody else is going to fix this. We take our car to the mechanic, he's going to fix this. We call the carpenter to fix our roof. We're entrained to have somebody else fix stuff. Right now, what we need to fix is us. And we can do this. And we can do this because, yes, there are people out there who will assist us to learn and remember how to do that. But they can't do it for us. In all the years of healing work, there's always a point with a person that you can give them all of the information. You can send them all of the energy. You can do all of the, things you've been taught and know to fix them, if you will, or to heal them, or to awaken them. But in that last moment, they get so close to success. And something happens. Something happens. And they go completely away. And I've often wondered what that is. And normally I would say it's fear. But I think at this point in my understanding, it's the realization of how powerful they truly are. What would happen if you really were that powerful? For many, that's more responsibility than they want. And I'm sharing with each of you today, that's the responsibility. Response, the ability to respond. It's not a burden, it's the ability to respond to what's going on. That responsibility has to be met. It has to be upheld. It doesn't mean you're going to sacrifice yourself or or you have to be the brightest star at the table. But what it means is taking the opportunity to respond, the ability you have to respond to something that is most highly beneficial for you and everyone around you. We're not here to save the world. The world doesn't need to be saved. The world is fine. It's us. It's us that have the problem. Tap into that inner place in your heart. Oh my goodness, it's 10:30 and I'm rambling on. And so this card, the creative power, I will continue. Bear with me, and if you can't stay with me, you can catch this in the reruns. I appreciate your time that you are with me. The card represents, and the quote from this card is, as a being of potential energy, I realize that the source of all I need is within me. So here's that confirmation. I realize that the source of all I need is within me. And that's what that card is saying to us, that the power of that that beautiful spiral of light is in you if you so choose to seek it out, tap into it, and put it into an effective field where it can embrace everything around it with its power. That's what you are. You are these dynamos. You are these beautiful fields of energy. And within that field is potentiality. And potentiality is, to us, distant. It seems like far away, but it isn't. It's just like that. That's how quick it can happen. When we focus on our energy and we gather what we understand as our energy and focus it to a point or to a person, that's how quick it connects. Actually quicker. It actually starts to connect before the thought of doing it is finished. This is how I explain. People say, well, how do you do earth healing, and how do you do all of these things that you do? And I said, it's in that moment. It's in that moment of redirecting the energy of our beingness to that single point for the highest good of everything that it is in that field, without determining whether it's animals or birds or land or whatever. Just opening our hearts and sending that energy. And in that moment, the field of resonance knows exactly what to do with it. So right now, this is what we're all being called to be, this creative self, this highly created self, to observe the energy field around us, no matter where we are, whether it's our own home or out in the street, or whether we're watching it on television or computer, whatever we're tapping into it. We know when it infects our body, and know that we have the power to shield ourselves from that. Just in that thought, come back into the heart. Because it's the human logic. It's the human logic, the logical mind, which is a beautiful thing, but it's trapped in a circle that goes around and around. It's like night follows day, day follows night, week follows week, month follows month. It's trapped in that cycle. It's designed to be trapped in that cycle. That's how it works. It's limited. It's a limited expression of who we are. And when we step out of that repetitive cycle and circling that can be controlled many different ways, that's another whole talk. And when we stop that and realize, oh, that's just going around, and where am I? I'm here. This is where heart resonance begins. This is where heart resonance receives. And this is where heart resonance creates. And for those of you who don't understand heart resonance, I'm not an expert, but it's been proven by leading scientists around the world. And again, they're only proving what already exists. In quantum physics, this Heart Math Institute has been working with us for 20 years. Look them up. And know that when we shift our awareness, that new creation is not going to come from here. That new creation is going to come from here, the heart. And it begins to shift our physicality, our individual physicality. And then in that process, it starts to spread. You could say, in fashion of a virus, it does spread. and people catch it. But instead of catching disease and pain and suffering, they're catching love, they're catching harmony, they're catching grace, they're catching ease, they're catching light. And I want you to think about, what would this world look like if each one of us could just shift our field of energy 3 degrees. Not much. 3 degrees. A circle of 360 degrees. What if humanity just shifted their conscious awareness and their creative power 3 degrees? I leave you with that. I bless you all, and I thank you all for being here and being present for my talks and or lectures or whatever you want to call my rambling. I don't know what it is I do. I just show up. I wrote on my Facebook page last week was my 160th talk here on humanity healing. 160 weeks I've been doing this faithfully. And I ask for nothing in return, except that hopefully what I have said over that time frame has touched people and given them a little bit of hope or a little bit of change of understanding or a little more sense of power within themselves. And it comes from love. It comes from my heart resonance to yours. And thank you each for appearing here. I see the sideline scrolling, and Sharina, Nighthawk, Skywalker, beautiful. Oh, I love you all. Sharina Butterfield. You know, this is amazing. It just touches my heart to see you all here and know that you are the seeds of the future and that I'm not alone. Thank you. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. May the field of resonance, art resonance, light up in your life. Till next week, be at peace. Know that in times of struggle, and you know, I'm going to read this. I had this pulled out to read. I'm going to take this last moments to read this. It's from a book, The Wondrous Journey, by Ili Ciara, with the original writer of this, and it's called Innocence. Indescribable beauty, equilibrium, and harmony. Pure clarity, reflected joy. When thinking stops and the whole past is dead, innocence blooms effortlessly. It is complete detachment from everything worldly. It creates a perfect order as a natural effect. Dissolving the ego, we become immensity. Perpetually innocent, we live holy freedom. Innocence is always new, just like the eternal moment, the eternal movement. It is as fresh as dew, awakening us. When we are attentive, we simply observe. The warmongering, aggressive ego leaves. Innocence ensues. Melting in the now, in a direct relationship with what is. We are always innocent in the incoming moment. Nothing is accumulated from the fleeting moment. We are pure action, detached from the known. Detach yourselves and embrace the new, the old, the always being you have forever been. I'm complete now. Have a great week. Love you all. Bye-bye.